Has joined us now. Good morning, Rajeev. Thanks so much for joining us. We have normally started with everyone from the liability side, asking them how much money did you make from the deposits. But let me start from the asset side. How's repayment been? Any trouble?
Good morning, Lata. So far, I think the ground check is fairly okay. I think there were obviously some challenges in the smaller sectors, rural, where the lack of currency caused some amount of dislocation. I don't think it's as bad as we would think given the scale of this entire exercise. So we are seeing generally healthy collections. Obviously, we have to watch on a day-to-day basis because some of the November effect is still seeping in. And then, December, we also believe that the currency availability will come back. Also, the level of economic activity which people were fearing in terms of dropping off a cliff, it's probably not going to be the case. And I was just listening to your previous guest and the Maruti numbers. I don't think it'll be as dire as some of the kind of immediate forecasts have made it out to be. So, but yes, we are being careful, we are being watchful, and we are working with our clients who perhaps need some temporary help to tide over the next 30, 45 days so that business models and business strategies are maintained and we get out of this short-term challenges on liquidity and transaction currency in a fairly robust manner.
Okay. Rajeev, hi, good morning. Do you see in the very near term higher amount of delinquencies on loans that you've lent to customers in the northern region where you have a high amount of exposure?
Sonia, I don't think that's, we are seeing that yet. And I don't believe that there's nothing which is, I think most parts of India will get impacted, but I don't think the impact is as severe and deep as people expected it to be in the initial days when there was a lot of confusion around what's it going to be, how's cash going to come back, what are we going to do in terms of purchase and sale. So we do see some delays, but these are not things which can be endemic or become really long-term issues. I think client groups, depending on who you work with, and most of our clients are actually people who we believe would actually prefer to work in an environment where there's a lot more disclosure, a lot more use of formal channels of banking, are actually going to ride this out hopefully much stronger. And our job is to continue helping them manage this process of transition in as less an inconvenient manner as possible.
Rajeev, first a near-term question. How much savings did you get, deposits did you get from November 10th?
Yeah, so Lata, we haven't come out formally to the market, but yes, I think in general the increase you've seen across the banking system, we've benefited as well. Also, I would add that like many other institutions, the way banks have handled customer queues, customer queries, customer challenges, I think has endeared a lot of customers to banks. And I just don't think it's only RBL, but it's many, many banks we've seen. So there is a lot more involvement and engagement by customers with banks. Obviously, we have to manage the near-term challenges of currency availability.
Okay.
But I think all of us are seeing
some numbers in. Yeah. Rajeev, I take your point. I mean, we've been handling.
Lata, I would only add that if you take a general increase over the overall deposit base, we've had a similar increase, and I can tell you we've contributed a lot to the NDTL CRR increase.
I was going to tell you, actually, that was my next question. What is your hit, actually? What's your hit? Have you quantified that?
No, I see, again, I think, look, there will be a temporary hit, and I think we have to take it in stride because, A, there is a sudden surge of liquidity. It has dislocated. It was threatening to dislocate the anchor policy rates and the bond markets. And I think we all expected something like this to happen. Obviously, each bank will have a slightly different impact. We've had no liquidity challenges. We've had no issues of managing this sudden requirement. And we also believe that the general rates in the market have come down and are likely to soften over the next 30, 60 days. So if you see on a little medium-term horizon, this extra cost is probably not going to be material once you see the overall benefit on cost of funds and for the borrowers.
Okay, well, then a final question. What's the loan growth likely to be this year? And more importantly, have you been able to handhold any of your people into digitization?
Oh, yes. So loan growth, again, Lata, it's like I mentioned on the asset side, it's a day-to-day, week-to-week, very close look. I think clearly November is going to get impacted. October was fine. I think we're hoping that some of this recovery comes in towards the second half of December. And a lot of it actually, depends on the kind of client base you have. So we have a fairly diversified client mix made up of large borrowers, mid-sized borrowers, very highly organized and sophisticated SMEs, farm, microfinance, and small businesses. So it's not as if all our segments are impacted, in the same brush. So that's in general how we are seeing it. I think on the digitization, I think we are, perhaps all of us are focused on what the medium to long-term structure of the industry should be. And I think this is going to be a significant inflection point. And many of us are underestimating the work everybody is doing, including us at RBL, in terms of, we brought forward all our digitization plans by 18-24 months. We provide remittance services to migrants across 40,000 customer service points across the country. We were doing business phenomenally well there. We are converting at least 5,000 points to provide banking transactions,
Rajeev,
use of Aadhaar for, yeah.
No, you didn't give me a loan growth number because you all did well in the second quarter. I'm asking you what will be the second half number.
Lata, we've always maintained as a policy that we will not make mid-quarter announcements on our numbers or financials. I'm just giving you a general direction. I hope you'll excuse me for not being specific, but I am providing you a little bit of an overview as to how we deal with it.
Okay, then we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Rajeev Ahuja.